is going to be about identity theft. I used to call it deter, detect, and defend. I've now still used that, but I think the title in itself says it: identity theft and how to prevent it. Okay, that's my name. I have done all this stuff, and I still am a member of Hounslow Rotary. The reason why Brighton and Hove are there, because they asked me to do a presentation. So I revised it, and I haven't bothered to change it. It looks good enough as it is. So let's go to the first slide. Okay, let's just talk about what it's all about, what identity theft is, and about what it can do to you as an individual. But I think the important thing is, how can you protect yourself? And then we'll go back in explaining about the summary of the 3Ds. If I get a chance to do the video clip, I will, but I'll point you in some directions. And I'm happy to take any questions and answers at the end. But if there's something urgent, I'm happy to interrupt, because we're amongst friends. It's not a professional event taking place today. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So what is it? What is identity theft? It's just like the picture here. It occurs when someone steals your information. Now, the key things which we talk about, and if I was doing it live, I'd be saying to you, things like your credit card, your national insurance number, your passport. And these are things which are being used at the moment, because if you think about, we're going through this COVID thing, quite often we're having to provide information to government authorities or local authorities or other people. So making sure that we keep that safe and only give it to people we're supposed to, fine. If you don't, guess what? You're going to lose a lot of money potentially, and also a lot of time trying to sort things out. But the worst part about it, it destroys your personal credibility and your good name. And that's really important, because trying to get your credit file sorted out is an absolute pain. And Experian and Equifax will try to do their best, but there's only a limit to how much they can do. Okay, so what do? Well, they can do a lot of damage. That's the most important thing. They can go shopping. And as of recently, with the change in the credit card thing, it went from £25 to £45. And now I recently went to, where did I go? I think I went to John Lewis to do shopping. And they told me I didn't need to put my PIN in because my limit has been raised to £100. So now I'm writing to John Lewis to tell him, can you put it back down to £30? I don't want it to be £100, because if I lose my credit card, someone could quite happily go shopping in John Lewis or other places where they've got that £100 limit. The other thing is trying not to keep your information in one place, because once they've got your national insurance number, they've got your passport details, they can open a new account, they can open a number of bank accounts. But the other thing is, the worst thing is, they could pretend to be you if the police are nearby. Now, the police will just pick up that information and they'll come knocking on your door. And this person has done something which perhaps could be a criminal offense. Even for a speeding offense is bad news. So that's an important aspect which I think you all need to be aware of, right? So how did this all happen? And as the picture goes, and I think Barclays, Santander, Nationwide, they're all telling us about making sure that you don't give information away. And also they're saying to people, we don't ask you for certain information, right? So you need to be careful about that. But the easiest thing they do is they go through your rubbish, right? So if there was a full audience here, I'll be asking you all questions like, what day do you put your rubbish out? Any response, Nadia or Sharanjit? When do you put your rubbish out?
Monday.
Monday. And what day is your rubbish collected?
I think we Tuesday.
Monday.
Tuesday.
Okay. So that means I have about 12 hours to go through your rubbish to find out information about you. Am I right or am I wrong?
Of course you do. Yeah.
So the important thing is make sure that you don't put your rubbish out until the last possible moment. So if you know that your rubbish is collected on a Monday morning at say 7 o'clock, if you can, put it out at 6. Don't put it out the night before, because someone will go through your rubbish. And for all you know, you might have left inadvertently an envelope with your name and your other details, on there. They could steal your wallet or purse. So if you've got something like your driving license, your national insurance number, because I know people do this in their wallet or purse, it could mean that they could get away with information which they can pretend to be you. The other thing is they steal your mail and then they submit a change of address. So anything that's going to be coming to you goes to someone else. So if you suddenly find out, hey, how come I'm not getting any letters or any post? Well, you might want to ring up the post office to find out that if there's been a change of
Can I add something to that, please?
Sorry?
Can I add to that, please?
Yeah.
It happens. I used to live in North London, and one of my neighbors was expecting his new card from the bank. So yeah, he was waiting for the card. So I think someone was noticed that was a card from the bank.
Yep.
And he stole the card, and I think 3 days later the pins came out. So he managed to get the card and the pin as well.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing. It's so easy to happen. But the credit card companies do try not to make it too obvious, but it happens. But it's when they do a change of address because they've got some of your information, and they say, "Well, I'm moving house. Can you have all the stuff forwarded to XYZ?" Now, the XYZ could be somewhere like one of these postal addresses, in the high street, and it could just be going into a post box there. The other thing is there could be fake emails. You get millions of these sent to you, offering you so many different things, from being, we will offer to give you this general's money. There's this money sitting in Libya or in Nigeria or some other country, or even one of your friends could be sending you an email saying, I've got this problem, I've had an incident, everything's been stolen, could you lend me some money? Quite honestly, sometimes that is a fake. If they're your friend and you've got their phone number, try and give them a call, right? Or phone a friend to find out whether Fred or George or Edwina has lost everything. So that's really important. Now, if you run a business, the other important thing to do is to make sure you try and teach your employees to try and maintain a clean desk policy. Don't leave things lying around which could be picked up by one of the cleaners, right? It could be a contract. So it's important that they clear the desks, they put them into their cabinet and lock the cabinet so that nobody can access it. Don't leave keys lying around. If you've got a key cabinet, make sure you put your keys into the key cabinet and lock it and take it away. But make sure that the key cabinet is safe and secure. It's not one of these sitting on a wooden wall or something like that. Okay, it's a very important thing to do. Year on year, I don't normally do this anymore, but you can see it's just getting worse every year. So let's talk about 9 ways to protect yourself. Okay, so let's do the first one. Protect your personal information. Most important things are things like your national insurance number, your passport details, your driving license. And let's just talk about PIN numbers. Have a guess which is the most popular PIN number and the banks don't allow you to use certain PIN numbers, but have a guess what the most popular PIN number is. Any clues?
Date of birth.
Yeah, that could be, but they've started stopping that because they're doing comparisons against that information.
Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, they won't let you do that.
Okay.
Okay, you've already had 2 chances, so it's for me now to tell you. If you look on your credit card, if you've got one handy, look at the last 4 digits on the front. That's the most popular 4-digit PIN.
They do it. Actually, they do that in as well. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because people forget. So what do they do? They just look at that last 4 digits. Now, the problem with that is that if you lose your credit card or your debit card, someone goes to a machine. Oh, the last 2 digits, 4932. Let me try that. 4932. Oh, success. How much money can I take out today? I can take £500 out of the ATM. And it happens. All right. So whenever I do this to senior citizens or even younger groups, I always ask them, and I actually say, if you've got a PIN number using that, please go home and change it. And if you don't know how to change it, give me a call, and I will show you how you can change it. But you don't need to tell me your number. The next thing is watching out for eavesdroppers. Oh, I love them. It's a bit like going to Las Vegas, and these people are waiting for you to get up, and they're going to take your slot, put their dollar in it, turn it, and they get all of the winnings. Here, people are actually in a restaurant or even a taxi. They could actually be listening in as to what you're saying. So be careful what you're saying. The most obvious thing is people saying, I'm going on holiday. And they'll say, when are you going on holiday? Well, I'm going away next week. I'm going to be away for 2 weeks, right? And
they oversharing that on social media as well.
Absolutely. So if you've taken photographs of your holiday in Egypt or wherever you've gone, right? Control yourself by not putting your pictures up that you're in Egypt. Otherwise, somebody could hop round to your place and decide that they wanted to borrow some of your possessions. And they're not just going to take the car keys, they're going to load up the car with all of your possessions and take your car away with all the possessions. And it happens. So be careful who you say, how you say it. And one of the tricks I always say to people is, if you're going on holiday, you normally trust somebody like your neighbor or so. When you call for the cab at your neighbor's address and make sure you leave from your neighbor's house. The reason is that taxi driver, not saying that they're all bad, but he or she could be involved with a gang, and they could actually tell someone, well, I picked up this couple. They told me in the car that they're away for 2 weeks. You can pop in and do their house in. But by the fact that it's your neighbor, they know that, oh, I'm not going to do that. They're going away from somewhere else. So be careful about that. The usual thing about information over the phone, if you're not sure, don't do it. Right? If you've got a phone number for the bank or whoever's you're going to call, ring that number, not ring the number they've given you, because that defeats the whole point. You need to make sure that if, say, Barclays Bank rings you, or someone pretending to be Barclays Bank and asks you some questions, which is unlikely, right? Just put the phone down, pick up your call number, which you know is your Barclays Bank, and actually give them a call and say, did you give me a call earlier on? And they will tell you yes or no. So be careful. I've already talked about rubbish, right? Throwing away your identity, right? The rule of thumb is, if you're not sure, shred it, destroy, anything to do with your personal information. And it's really important to do that. I have different ways, and whenever I do this presentation, people tell me everything from burning to shredding. But when I say shredding, it has to be a cross-cut shredder, not a single one. Okay, really important that, and that's especially for businesses. Make sure it's a cross-cut shredder so that no information is shared across your business. Okay, so let's just talk about now protecting your computer. Whichever one you get, whether it's Norton's or you get Microsoft or you get something, it's better to have than nothing at all. Make sure when you're doing your passwords, they're at least an 8 characters, and make sure that there's an alphanumeric mix. These days, the bank might give you the software for free. So it's well worth thinking about. The other thing is when you're shopping online, right, only go to sites which you believe in. So for example, so I tend to use 2 or 3 specific sites, but the other thing I'm also doing is checking to see a padlock. Now, you'll see the padlock depending on which browser you're using, but that's to tell me that it's a secure site. Otherwise, the information is just going across the network without anything. Okay. Let's go on to the most, I call it the hard one. This is check your bills and bank statements. I normally tell a story about going away on a cruise or something like that, but it's really important to check your statements, right? Look for strange amounts. Make sure that you follow up with your credit card or your bank, because somebody could have stolen your details and gone in and started doing things. The other thing which I want to kind of highlight is this pre-approved credit cards, and I'll mention this company. They do it regularly. Vanquis, you may have heard of, and Aqua. They tend to put a lot of your pre-information onto the letter, and all you're expected to do is to sign it on the back. Now, if they get one of those letters, right, and then change the forwarding address, they could effectively pretend to be you, and they could get all your credit cards, and they could go around shopping, and you're going to be liable for it. So be mindful of that. One of the easiest things you can do is you can pay £2 to people like Equifax or Experience or TransUnion. There's so many different, but the biggest two are Equifax and Experience. They charge you £2 and they will send you a simple report basically telling you all about you. And maybe you might find on there that there's somebody else's information being shared with yours. And if that happens, you need to basically do an alert, or you can actually pay for this service. But I do this every year, regular as clockwork, for myself and for my wife. I pay the £2 and I get a report. And I have found once that my neighbor was somehow linked to my house. For whatever reason, but having known him for 30 odd years, I think it was purely a mistake. It was to do with the number 6 and number 8. So I think someone just types it in incorrectly. All right. So let's do a quick summary. Yeah. Let's shred paperwork. If you're not sure, shred it and make sure it's a cross-cut shredder. Don't carry your national insurance number or write it down or put it on a check or whatever. Please try and avoid carrying useful information and that you could actually lose. Don't give out your personal information, especially your phone number, your email, because you could end up you could be bombarded for all you know. Right? This is the one I get my mum and dad to not do. Never click on links for unsolicited mail. So what I've done is I'm the administrator on my dad's PC, and this is ever since I've become the administrator, and made him a user, I'm getting fewer problems. Okay. Passwords, don't use obvious things like your mother's maiden name, the last 4 digits of your national insurance number, your partner's name or your pet's name. They're all obvious passwords, and these people will go through a list until it's they can find what it is. Right? Keep your personal information in a safe place. If you've got a cabinet or a steel drawer thing, put it in there. Or if you've got even a little safe, put it in there. Okay, but it's going to make it difficult for these people. But these days, you know, they carry these detector things, like the people who go to the seaside looking for coins and so on. They use that to find out where safes and things are. So you still have to be a degree of being careful. So in summary, the job you have as an individual or as a business is, one, is to deter. So let's deter these identity thefts by safeguarding your information. We need to detect, so we need to put things into place to make sure that you're protected. So things like making sure that you are checking your financial accounts, making sure that if you get any letters, make sure that they're correct. Defend, and this is defending against identity theft as soon as you suspect a problem. So if you think you're not getting any post for 2 or 3 days, it might be worth ringing the post office up and just say, I've not received any post. That's not normal. Or your credit card or debit card, like Nadia said, somebody could have stolen that very easily. So it's really important that you need to identify it and then do something about it. Don't just sit around. Okay. I can't do the video at the moment because I'm using a different computer at the moment. Okay. And I've literally come to the end, and I've tried to do it as swiftly as I can because there's only 4 of us here. But just remember these 3 words: deter, detect, and defend. Okay, because that's what you have to do to protect you and your family. It's a battlefield out there, and you have to protect yourself somehow. Thank you for listening. Questions and answers, and I'll leave it to Jane